Hello, and welcome back to another episode of SB and Roxy, where we have conversations for the everyday woman by two everyday women. Today's topic is swipe left or swipe right, generations, fact versus fiction. And to join us in this conversation, we have a couple of 20, 30 somethings. First up, we have Arreale Davis. She is a graduate of Cal State University Northridge with a degree in business marketing. She's been acting since 1994. You might have most recently seen her on a Black Lady sketch show, That Girl Lily, or All American. And she also owns her own marketing company called Rain Marketing and Events. So welcome, Arreale, to the conversation.
And I am also pleased to welcome and introduce Summer Smith. Summer is a native of Southern California, however, has spent the last 4 years in Baltimore, Maryland. Summer is a graduate of Loyola Marymount University and also completed her master's degree in nursing from Johns Hopkins University, where she is currently working in emergency medicine. So we have a current residents of the East Coast as well as the West Coast to provide their perspectives on today's topic.
Yes, so welcome, ladies, welcome. Right out of the gate, I want to ask this question. Are you actually the swipe left, swipe right generation, or is that just a myth or something that's been put out there in the ethos and people have just latched onto it? I mean, how are relationships? How is dating? What's going on? Uh, Let us know. Arreale, you want to go first?
Okay, so I would say yes and no, right? I have
Okay.
friends that rely heavily on online dating and sometimes only online date. And I have friends who've never downloaded a dating app ever, right? For me, I've online dated and I meet people in person, but I've also been to a few Tinder weddings. So I think I think people I think it's a new outlet and it allows people to date who would have been too busy or not met, I don't know, to meet people who are outside their box, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So,
agree as well with Ariel. I'm 25 and I feel like it's the same. It could be both. And then not only is it dating apps, but it's also social media. You have like everybody at your fingertips. So it's that plays a big part in it as well. But I believe like friends of mine who don't believe in social media or dating apps meet people like normally. But I mean, I've personally done both as well. Um, yeah, so it could be both.
Now, Summer, you live in an area where there's a lot of young professional athletes. And I was very surprised when you were sharing with me um, from their lives how women reach out to them on social media. So uh, maybe they didn't have to use the apps because social media for athletes is like well, I shouldn't say a catalog, but they
It is.
have a plethora of choices. Can you share about that? And not without naming names.
No, I mean, just any athlete, I'm sure um, they can just look in their messages and they have multiple women of all shapes, sizes, and colors of their choosing that they can respond to or whatever. But that can go for anybody, celebrities, even like regular men have that option as well, I'm sure. Everybody we call it sliding in their DMs, their direct messages. Um, but yeah, even everyone has, I'm sure, men or women sliding in their DMs all the time.
Okay.
Ariel can agree with me.
have the two of you had that experience?
Yeah.
Okay. And what? Like, were you interested? Or you just like know anybody that's approaching that way? Or, how does that?
I feel like it's the modern day flirting. I feel like men don't really come up to you like in, I don't know, the Starbucks or the grocery store that often anymore. But say you like go to the beach one day and you want to post a picture of you in a bikini, or you look really pretty one day and you want to post a picture, you'll have men, you know, hearting the picture, sliding up, which means they're commenting on it, which only you can see. And then we also have another thing, shooting your shot, which is them, I guess, trying to flirt with you, I guess. So yeah, that's also another way. Anybody who follows you can do that.
So we need a primer and all this new vocabulary that I've never heard before.
I'm like, I need to take more pictures in swimsuits.
Right, right. That's what I haven't done, right? You know, to compete
Maybe that's
with young
what it
ones.
is.
Put my bikini on.
What about you, Arreale? What has been your experience
With
the, whether it's, you know, more, you're getting more of the DMs, or it's more of the dating apps, or?
So I don't post on my own profile that often because
Okay.
I don't. So my Instagram isn't as active as it should be or could be. So I would say, not when I post a pic, my DMs will flood. Do you get what I mean? But
Yeah.
then if I don't post a pic for a long time, people don't really see my page. And then the guys who DM me, I would say it's like most of them you wouldn't want to talk to. And then there's like that one, you're just like, oh, okay. And then you message back, then you see where it goes. You check out their profile, what they're doing with life. And then, I don't know, you can call people on Instagram as well in video. So then you talk to them that way. And then you see if you guys like each other, have a vibe. And you can see like what friends you guys have in common. And then so I'll ask my friend, like, okay, I see you know this person. What do you know about this person? Are they a cool person? Do they have a girlfriend?
Okay, so y'all still doing background checks. You're still doing the background checks. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Okay. So, you know, let's switch to the, so what is the one-on-one experience? Like Summer, you mentioned like guys aren't really approaching at the Starbucks or et cetera, you know, when you're out and about. Roxanne and I have been at parties. Men aren't approaching like they used to. It's just a different vibe or different time. I watched this one video, and this was out of my hometown of Houston. People were at a club, which people would go to nightclubs to meet people, but they were literally like two separate groups. And they were all competing on who had the most expensive bottle of liquor. No one's dancing, no one's really talking. And they're pouring out like, I was like, how is this getting to know anybody? So what is it like when you're out and you're hanging out and, you know, going to different events? Can you tell people are really standoffish, and have you tried to break the ice? Have you approached them first? Like, what's going on, you know, when it's an in-person situation?
I would say we were just talking about this yesterday at dinner, and I don't know. I don't have that problem necessarily. Guys will approach me, but I feel like I'm kind of approachable. I'm under 5 feet. I'm like usually in a good mood and like can spark conversation quickly. I don't have like a closed off like vibe about me. So like when groups are separate, I'm like, this is cool. And I'm just like having my fun and doing whatever. And I think that opens it up. I just think
Yeah.
now with social media, and it's kind of sickening where people are comparing each other so much. And they have like these standards that are just so absurd because you're like, right, you were talking about like an athlete, an actor, but the average person isn't an athlete, the average person isn't an actor or making millions of dollars. So like the idea that the average person in dating feels like they should be reaching these heights, I think is like a setup, which is why I feel like people aren't falling in love. And it's sad because you care more about economics is important, but it's not like the security of it, it's the flashy of it. And I think that's problematic.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Not the security, it's the flashy of it. That's a great point. Summer, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't have a problem approaching people at all, and I get approached as well. Um, but like you said, if you go to like a nightclub per se, most of the men are worried about like what their section, it's like, you know, that's where they buy their bottles, $1,000 tequila bottle, whatever, what their section looks like and how they're perceived. And it's not really even on like in person, it's how they're perceived on social media. Like who's posting, you know, them with their all these bottles that they bought. So that's what they're really worried about for the most part. That's a nightclub thing, but they're not really talking to women. Um, I prefer to just go to bars or like little lounges where you can actually have a conversation with somebody. And everybody's just kind of more relaxed and not really worried about the flashy stuff. I actually went to a salsa night last week, and it was kind of just really refreshing because I had, you know, guys every 5 minutes coming up asking me to dance. I was like, oh, this is how it was back in the day, maybe. It was really nice. But that just doesn't happen in our generation. I feel like when, you know, we're out, music's playing, people really aren't gonna ask you to dance.
Well, I always get asked questions when individuals know that, you know, you live in the DMV, right, in the East Coast. People always think, "Oh, I think I need to move there. There's more men." So I'd like to hear about the East Coast versus West Coast, and maybe your all's experience. Are men different
Absolutely.
or plentiful in the East Coast? Or is that a fallacy?
I think men are different everywhere. And can I throw in the South? Because we got to put them in there. The men in the South, to me, are unmatched. I think like they have a nice Southern hospitality. Like when I went to Houston, they like cater to their women. Like, I don't know, there's this weird LA thing where they're a little sassy and they feel like they're the prize. When I go to Atlanta or Houston, it is not that way. I think I would be married already with kids if I lived in Atlanta, Houston, East Coast even. I just think LA is just it's you know, it's not, people don't move here to start a family. People move here to be famous and to drive their career. So I think just relationships overall in LA, particularly, is not on the top of a guy's priority list. It's money, clout, is a whole bunch of different things. And then society and social media celebrates bad behavior, in my opinion. So a guy can act out and do bad things and it gets him attention, where to me I don't think so. So the another thing is the guys that a lot of women like, I find very unattractive because their moral compass isn't right, how they treat women isn't right, how they talk to themselves and others. I Yeah, so I would say I really adore Southern men. They're my favorite if we're going to.
Okay.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice reminder. All right, Summer, you're East Coast. Let's hear about it.
So I agree with Arreale. As a young 20-something Black woman, I don't think dating in LA is ideal. In the DMV, like you said, Mom, I've had a lot more luck. There's a lot more to choose from. People or men are a lot more, I guess, not so closed off like they are in LA. They're willing to, you know, talk to you, whatever. But also I noticed just everywhere there's just in the Black dating pool, but there's just many, many more women than there are men, I feel like, in every city. So that also makes it really difficult. No matter, I feel like, if you're in the South, the East Coast, or the West. And the DMV is pretty small. So I feel like, yes, it is better, but at the same time, there's so many women, and then it's just like not a whole lot to choose from if you've been here a while, I would say. Yeah, but I do say the East Coast is better for sure.
And can I throw out, I love men, all men. They don't have to be Black. I love Asian men. I love Indian. Middle Eastern men, white men. So I think with that being said, my dating pool opens up a lot. And I'm willing to date younger and I'm willing to date older. So my dating pool is a lot bigger sometimes than someone who wants to strictly date Black or within a certain age parameter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another reason why it's a little easier for me because everywhere I go, I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah. We co-sign on that. Yeah, being opening the pool of men. Because to Summer's point, that pool gets smaller and smaller the older you get as well. Which brings me to this video/conversation, because I know she went on the breakfast show after having this posting this video for the griot about women in dating, and she was suggesting for young women that are in college, basically if you're going to college and you know for a fact that you really want to have a family, get married, you should also lock down that MRS with your degree. Like make that another degree that you're getting while you're in college, because of that dating pool getting smaller and smaller the older you get. And beyond college, the pool of, I would say, like-minded and equally yoked men for a college, educated woman, they're right there in front of you when you're in college. But she also added in, things like, having to freeze your eggs if, you can't find that mate later on, et cetera. So, what are your thoughts in that? What would you say to a young woman, just both of you, just beyond, those undergrad years? What would you say, or would you have done anything differently, or what? What are your thoughts?
Um, I was in a relationship during college. So I was with my high school sweetheart pretty much till I was in my mid-20s. So I would say I think I have a different idea about it because I think I should have grown more um, in the relationship sector, communication skills, just things that I didn't have at the time. And I think I would have learned if I had different dated different people. I think I would have learned more opposed to like dating someone for 10 years and then getting back into the dating pool, if that makes sense. But I do believe if you find the person that you want to be with, you shouldn't let society or anything tell you you're too old, too young, or whatever. So I just say follow your heart, whatever that is. I don't women are having kids older and we don't have the same cutoffs, and we have the ability to freeze your eggs, and insurance is now paying for them. So I just think that like we shouldn't be so fearful. Like there's no wrong or right way. It's all gonna work itself out. You're gonna find man or not, but I do. Yeah, that's my take on it. And have fun. Get to know yourself, because once you get married, you're sharing a life with somebody. Like I do believe you should travel and get to see the world and find out who you are so you can share that with somebody. So, but I do believe also you shouldn't wait till 40 to make marriage and stuff a priority. There's like
Okay.
I looking back, no, I don't think I would have done anything differently. I just think when you're 18, 19, 20, you just want to have fun, do things with your friends. If you do find the love of your life and you want to get married, beautiful. If you don't, I don't think it's a big deal at all. And I think it should be a priority just to focus finishing school, having a good time, like you said, traveling, finding out what you like and what you don't like about, other men, prioritizing yourself. I think those should all be priorities. But if somebody happens to come along, then sure. But if not, there's so many resources to do all that later in life.
Yeah, good point. I know when we've had shows on this too, previous episodes, but women are making choices differently than our mothers or our grandmothers, and maybe it is true years ago that parents influenced their daughters to go to college so they could meet a husband, right? And I don't know if that's the case. I think women truly these days are going to pursue their education to be the best they can be, to prepare themselves for life. And I personally wasn't ready to get married until I was 30. I think I was on a cruise with some girlfriends. I remember calling my mom from the ship. I said, you know what? I think I'm ready. Right. I was done with that. I knew that was the last trip with a bunch of girls. That was it for me. And it has been it for me. And I was ready. And you also hear that a lot of times men get that urge to get married when they want to have children. So the moment they think they want to have children, then they start looking. But I think for both parties or, partners, whatever it may be, you want to be in a good position, and as you said earlier in summer, you want to make sure that you're whole when you come to a relationship. And if that is by, making sure that you are mentally, physically, financially sound, that's great. Sure, you can build as a partner and you want to build with your partner, as you progress through life. But really to be whole inside, right? To be complete. I think we're all moving towards, that actualization more so than previous generations have been before. So I think most importantly that you said earlier, you got to be happy. You got to be happy where you are in life, or else you're going to bring that baggage into a relationship with you. And that's so important for both parties.
I agree with everything that's been said. I'm sorry, Arreale, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think that's the thing with love. It's like beautiful and it's to be shared, but people like fear it and or like cut themselves off to it. And I just, it's, I don't know. I don't know how to fix it, especially in the Black community. It's sometimes heartbreaking because I'm like, we should just be loving each other epically, unapologetically. But we have like all these like weird things that don't matter, skin complexion, like we're so hard on each other, rather that be women hard on the men and men hard on the women. I think we should just have more grace.
Agreed. This conversation I've also had with students in my class, and part of that, what you were just saying about just, people being afraid to love in a sense. A lot of my students will say that, they weren't taught what a healthy relationship looks like. They didn't see that in their home. Maybe they come from divorced homes or things, or single parenting, that sort of thing. So they didn't see it, but also they weren't having those conversations. Like parents will have the birds and bees conversation with them, how to, protect yourself and all that, but not the healthy relationship conversation. So a lot of my students say, that's why I've held off and I'm backing away and I'm just going to focus on college, getting my degree or degrees, etc. And then the relationship will come after that. I had mixed feelings about what Ebony K. Williams had to say that in that conversation. And with the panel, I agree that I don't think anybody should get married before 30. I really don't think that you really know yourself. And you got to know yourself first and love yourself first before you, link up for life with somebody. Because, marriage is supposed to be for the rest of your life. But also, that was the mindset when I was coming up. Yes, get your degree, have your own. That was part of the mindset as well, be able to take care of yourself, especially from my dad. I heard that narrative all the time. But amongst my friends, it was, we are going to get married. We're going to be connected and get married by the time we graduate from college. So most of my friends did get, and I was engaged when I graduated from college. I didn't marry him, thank God. But a lot of those a lot of those same people are divorced now.
Yes.
That got married in their 20s, early 20s. They're divorced. They're no longer together because they didn't know themselves well enough to even come together in a marriage, at that point in their lives. So I agree with some of the points. Like you said, some insurance companies are covering the freezing of eggs, but a lot aren't. And then you're looking at out-of-pocket expenses, which I think at minimum is about what, 8 to 10 grand, and can go up to like 30 grand in regards to freezing eggs. So I kind of agree with her on that point. You know, if family is a top priority for you, maybe you should make that one of your top priorities when you are in college and, you know, before you graduate. So kind of mixed on that conversation, but I wanted to get your input on that.
I think it's what's most important for the person. Because for me, I didn't want to have kids until I just wanted to be in a healthy, happy household. And I
Mhm.
don't want to create more generational trauma. So for me, it was
Yeah.
more important to have kids later and to raise them when I'm financially secure, mentally sound, and have everything more packaged together.
Mhm.
But at the same time, everybody's life looks so different, because she was saying about men date because of their fertility, right? But the last three guys that I was like talking to, it didn't work out because they didn't want kids, right? So that's not
Mhm.
even something that they think about is your closing fertility. They're like, hey, you're not fertile. That's great because I don't want kids anyway. So I think it's just honestly who you're matching with and what you want, and just live in that truth, because if I had kids at 20, I didn't want kids at 24. I didn't. I'm just now liking the idea. But that's me. My best friend has two and has been married since she's been 18. So like everybody
Right.
is still married, So I would just say everybody's life looks so different and just love yours. Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Summer?
Yeah, I think it's very subjective as well. If having kids is important to you and you don't have, a ring on your finger, but you really want to have kids, go for it. Like, I just don't think you need to have the house, the husband, and all that in order to get what you want. If you're financially sound and you want to do it, do it. But I mean, if you want to have a husband, kids, two-car garage and a lawn in the front and all that, that's beautiful as well. But like Ariel said, it's really what you want, and you can make it what you want these days. Yeah, options are really endless.
Thank you. Ariel, something you said kind of piqued my interest. I think you said that people don't know how to love anymore, right? They don't know how to love or be vulnerable, and maybe it's intimacy. And that really, to me, gets back to our topic of swiping left and right. So is social media, is the app dating not allowing individuals to experience intimacy and experience the closeness of one-on-one to be vulnerable? And to be close, right? And to be able to share those feelings if we're using technology to communicate for us. So is that creating an additional challenge for young folks in relationships?
I just think it's like very instant gratification with the social media and the dating apps. Like, you can meet somebody or see them on your phone one day, or not even one day, the same day you can go to dinner with them. You might like them, you might have feelings for them, date for a week, doesn't work out. The next day you can go on another date. Like, you don't have there's not a lot of room to, I feel like, heal from these little, relationships that you had, because you have so much opportunity to get into something else very quickly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it brings us together because once again, if it wasn't for dating apps, I don't think I would have started dating outside my race, to be perfectly honest, because I wasn't necessarily in those spaces with them. Or did they not think that I found them attractive, or whatever it was, it didn't really just happen like naturally like that. Where on a dating app, you're kind of like clear when you like someone, you like them. So I think it opened up just my dating pool in general. Also, I think it's how you use the dating apps. Are you using it for a like hookup culture, or are you using it to date intentionally? Because those are two different things. You can go to the bar and leave with someone every night. It's not really much different. And I think with online dating, I write a lot. So it almost feels like old school, like letters. You get to know people. in a different way and kind of like long, in my opinion. But if you're just using it just to like, oh, hey, let's go to dinner and then dinner the next day, I can understand the turnover isn't conducive. But yeah, I'm also small, so I gotta vet my people. Like, I just make sure they're not crazy. Bye.
We all have to
We
vet.
all, regardless of our size, right?
We are all doing that. I go as far as to contact my girlfriend who's an attorney, like, girl, run this name. Like, what can you find?
I do, yes.
There's just too much going on in the world to not do that. It
Yeah.
just really is. I wonder if, because Arreale, you said like LA, there's a difference. And I think also because you said like the online dating opened up a whole new pool of people to you that you wouldn't have had access to. Can occupations make a difference as well? Because you talked about the LA man, and the LA man that you talked about sounds much like that's centered in the entertainment industry versus where Summer is and has, is in the medical field. Is there a difference there even as well? Because, all the points that you said, I've experienced too. I dated one actor and then I was done. And then, it's like, there are other men that are more open and approachable depending upon the industry that they're in. So what have you found there? Because I'm hearing that in the conversation. Like, Summer, what just specifically, like in your background, in your field, is it more accessible, or no, that doesn't make a difference at all?
In the medical field, you mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Are you able to meet more people that are in the field along with you versus this kind of, I'm into myself, I'm here to promote myself, my brand is everything, what Arreale might have been experiencing because she's surrounded by industry entertainment people.
yeah. It's really interesting, actually. I feel like everybody, at least not everyone, but a lot of people in the hospital, whether it be residents, attendings, other nurses, um, are already married that I've met. So I don't know. That could be going back to our original point. They might have met them in school while they're in nursing school or medical school. So I guess that's a big thing I've noticed actually.
Okay.
And even in nursing school, I feel
Sorry,
like
you broke up just a little bit.
oh, what was the last thing you heard? I broke up.
Well, I don't think we heard the first part regarding meeting people at the employment.
Oh, I just said everyone I feel like is married, like they've already met their partners in school, whether it be nursing school, medical school. I feel like when I was even in nursing school, my last semester, maybe like I want to say like 20 people got engaged that last semester leading up to graduation.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like a thing, like even on TikTok, like everybody like has videos of them showing their engagement rings during their graduation because it's just like a thing that happens, I guess.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. So, or you're gonna meet, other people in medical school that you might fall in love with. But that's one thing I have noticed. Everybody usually is already married or engaged or has like a long-term partner for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, can I add? I do not date entertainers. I do not like rappers. I do not like actors. No, I like I actually kind of like a smart nerdy kind of guy. Like that's my
Okay.
yeah. Which is why I date online because I am on set all the time. I am in the industry, so I do meet a lot of industry people. But I'm not
Right.
that. Like that's not what I want to go for. I like
Got it. Yeah. I was just speaking to, like, that's what you're surrounded with,
yeah.
or by. And so you would see more of that versus maybe what Summer's experience is, but you intentionally are going outside of that to date. So that's awesome. That's great. Okay. Okay. Any last words of wisdom that you would pass on to young woman or young man right now that's, out there and maybe feeling a little bit challenged by this dating moment your generation seems to be in, or at least that's what we hear. So any last encouraging words of wisdom?
I would say just follow your heart and just stop caring about all the other noise out there, I guess, you know? And thinking that, I guess, like, just, I don't believe in settling, but I do believe like we have this idea that there's a better option in the future. And I don't think that's always the case. So just, if you have a good guy or a good person, love them and build with them. Like, don't strive to be with the video girl. Like the 80-20 rule. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that.
Explain that for the audience, because some people might not know.
The 80-20 rule is pretty much when you're in a relationship, you're only most of the time going to get 80% of what you need, because as humans, we can't, it's almost impossible to give 100%, right? So I would say people that are in a relationship for a long time, the 80% starts to be boring, or it just feels normalized, I guess. And so that 20% seems really shiny. And they go for the person that only has 20% of what they want, because it's different than it's missing, right? From so it's like it looks a lot better, but when they date that person, they're like, oh my gosh, you only have 20% and I missed out on the 80. Because I don't know, your Instagram was popping and you have a hot body, but you don't know how to cook or clean or communicate, or just so focus on the 80, nurture the 80, and cancel the noise.
Summer.
I would say don't focus on it. I feel like it's just everybody's so stressed about finding a partner. I think just focus on things that you enjoy doing. Be the best version of yourself you can be, like your mom says. Go outside, do things you enjoy, travel, see the world, go have fun with your friends. And I think, along the way you might meet somebody. Just have interests, have hobbies. But yeah, I don't think it should be like such a focus that it is to have a partner these days. Maybe just, I don't want to say prioritize yourself, but just be the best version you can be. I think along the way you'll find what you're looking for.
Okay.
That, like,
yeah, sure.
settings where you can meet your ideal partner. I know my ideal partner probably isn't in the club, so I don't go to the club thinking I'm gonna find him there. I think I find him at community service or at some event that isn't tailored to, club things.
Like Summer brought up you went to salsa dancing, and just person after person asking her to dance, just switching it up, going to different places, and whatever your interests are, putting yourself in that location and see what comes to you. Roxy, as the aunties in the room, do you have any wisdom to offer the audience?
I am just so grateful for these two wise and insightful young women with this very open perspective and such positive attitude about life. And I think we all can learn from doing that. Life is short and we need to be grateful every day we wake up and just make the most of it. So I appreciate how you all are living and the wisdom that you're sharing with others your age. So keep it up.
I would, Arreale, the 80-20 rule that I grew up with was the individual. So as long as you're getting 80%, there's going to be 20% that you don't like and you feel like, ugh, this works my nerves. But dealing with that 20%, whether it's squeezing the toothpaste in the middle, whatever it is better than finding, like you said, that person that only has the 20% when you had 80 of good in a person. So even individually, we're looking like, am I getting like 80% of what I want out of this person as my partner? That might be a pretty good match. there. But I heard wonderful things, switching it up, different locations, making sure focusing on the person's moral compass, that being important. Opening your dating pool, don't limit yourself. And that's all about person's comfort zone. But some people have like boxes that they're checking off, and you're never going to check all those boxes. So really opening up that dating pool, whether you're talking ethnicity, religion, occupation, we've talked about here, somebody that's on the East Coast versus somebody that might be, right in your backyard. There's flights. We can meet in the middle, we can go on a trip together, those sorts of things to make it happen. And I also love that you love Southern men. Being from Houston, I love that you love Southern men. That's a whole nother conversation we'll have to have. Plus, I wanted to ask, there's this other video that I saw about the double standard in regards to sexual partners. Maybe we'll have to have you back on for a part 2, because someone of our generation, Roxy, you might have seen this, Shannon Sharp had a guest on, and he asked her, well, he didn't ask her, she offered, how many sexual partners she's had, and his reaction to it was so, and I was like, oh, dude, no, don't do that. But that's all another conversation, and maybe we can discuss. I think so. I think so.
Like 53 or something, or 33 or something up there.
Yeah.
I just believe things are private. Like, first of all, I don't want to imagine the guy I'm with anybody else. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm the number one and the last if it works out. I don't want to really know. It doesn't even, what's that? It's weird. It's torture. Like, no.
Yeah. Go ahead, Summer. Did you see it as well? Do you know the conversation? Okay.
Yeah, I did. She's written books about all her partners. Like she's very public with it, but
okay.
I do believe there's a huge double standard when it comes to things like that.
Yeah. And historically, there's a history of that. So it's like, and with, anyways, another full conversation.
Part 2.
Part 2 for another day, because that just piqued my interest, and I was like, okay, your reaction was totally unacceptable, but we'll have a conversation about that another day. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah, for your input, your time, and just your thoughts on this whole dating situation modern day, because a lot of people will watch this and hopefully pull some tools from it, from what you have said for themselves. Any last words, anybody, before I close this out?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, we're gonna have you back again, so get ready.
Yeah, and we're going to have some males on as well, so we want to hear both sides. So
yes,
that's coming soon. So,
for sure, we're going to mix it up. We'd also like to wrap up this episode by mentioning, making a note that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So if anyone out there, if you are find yourself in a situation, or someone who's in a situation where they need to be helped out, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-787-3224. And then if you're unable to speak there, you can text "Love Is" to 22522. That's 22522. As a survivor of domestic violence, I think it's very important that we promote awareness in regards to this topic. And then everyone else, remember to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on YouTube. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, especially subscribe, because it's the easiest and doesn't cost you anything way to support us and support the podcast. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.